Well, welcome everyone. Good to see everybody. Thanks for coming out this fine morning. Everybody doing okay? Yeah. Thanks, Dean. You know, we're going to kick off. I didn't say anything about Earth Day in our little weekly message, but we did have Earth Day Tuesday. So Dan's going to, I don't know what exactly call it a prayer, but recognition of the day. So let me turn it over to Dan.
It's amazing that we only dedicate one day a year to Mother Earth, but it's lived in the heart of natives forever. And I'm going to read something that was spoken by Chief Seattle to a tribal assembly in 1854. Every shining needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark wood, every clearing and humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. Teach your children what we have taught our children, that the earth is our mother, the rivers are brothers, they quench our thirst and feed our children. The air is precious to the red man, for all things share the same breath. The beast, the tree, the man, they all share the same breath. And what is man without the beast? If all the beasts were gone, man would die from a great loneliness of spirit. This we know, the earth does not belong to man, man belongs to earth. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. What every man does to his web, he does to himself. All things are connected, like the blood that unites one family. All things are connected. Oh. Now I got to get out of the way of these archers because I was told at a young age that you could always recognize an Indian leader because he was a guy out in front with all the arrows in his back.
Dan, thank you. Yeah, one watery planet. Very cool. Well, we got big morning here, but I think we got time for a little updates, announcements, and introductions. Anybody here for the first time? Anybody? Hey, all right. Well, we'll introduce you. You're going to be introduced formally here in a few minutes. But what's your name?
My name is Chris Kinney.
All right, Chris. Thanks for coming this morning. So I see some. Well, Miss Tillo, she's going to be a regular. She goes and works out, then comes here, and then goes back and works out.
That's right. Movement is life.
Movement, very good. Very good. Well, Emily Fraser's here. Looks like Greater Helena Gibbs is coming right up. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that? Very good.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. The reports are advised for highly, overall. Hi, I'm Emily Fraser with the Helena Area Community Foundation. I'll get friendly. I'm Emily Fraser with the Helena Area Community Foundation. And as some of you might know or have heard me say every year for however many I've been here the last 11, Greater Helena Gibbs is coming up. It's next week. I did bring some promotional items if you have a place to hang a poster or put a yard sign. They are out front. I would very much like to leave with none. So please come up and grab some things if you'd like. I think I'm funny, guys. Have you not touched your coffee yet? They don't do any good in our office. We know. We're well aware of when Greater Helena gives it. So please come and take some materials. And please participate. This year's kind of crummy for everybody, but nonprofits are under a lot of stress, and so having a really good giving day is a nice way to show that the community is still backing the organizations that make Helena home. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, grab one of these posters on your way out, or even during the meeting if you'd like. And you just finished the grant cycle, and some of the nonprofits were recipients. And how'd that work out?
That was really hard. Also, I will tell you, we will never again try to do our grant cycle so close to Greater Helena Gibbs. That was also hard. But we had 61 applications and they were fantastic, and it was heartbreakingly difficult to narrow it down to the amount we could fund. But the full list is on our website, and then we also have John Ward here, who was the chair of the committee that's been doing our granting for many years now at this point. Right here, John Ward. But we are always excited and inspired to see all of the things that the nonprofit community is doing and thinking about. This year, I think we put a little extra oomph into funding things that were timely, because again, there are some big risks for nonprofits right now. But on the whole, it was another great grant cycle, and information about who was funded and then how much is on our website. And nonprofit checks are going out this week, hopefully, or very early next, because we got that Greater Helena Gifts thing too. So we're trying to check one box and move along. So thanks for asking.
Very good. Thanks for doing that. All right. Well, what else is going on? Yes, John, how you doing? Don't lick the mic.
Yeah, good morning. Everybody kind of know I'm John Jackson, and I've told you before I'm with the Shrine here in Helena. Last night we had a great event over at the Consistory. We invited in the football players in the area from Capitol, Helena High, Townsend, Boulder, East Helena, etc. that will be playing in the East-West Shrine football game coming up on 20 and 21, I think I got the dates right, in Great Falls. And there we host the local players, give them a little recognition plaque and find out what their future is going to be. But also other communities such as Malta, Great Falls, Kalispell, Missoula, Butte, Bozeman, all host the kind of the same little recognition. These players will go to Great Falls, get ready, and then on that one night they'll be playing the game. But the big deal is the money they raise goes to the hospital in Spokane. I don't know how much we're going to raise this year. We'll know that till July. But all the money goes to the Spokane Hospital for Children, the Shriners Hospital, to help support their needs. And what's really nice is Montana raises more money than any other state in the nation to support hospitals. Montana alone. We're looking forward to that. There'll be a big parade, and we're hoping someday, now that Carroll College has made all their big improvements on their stadium, etc., that someday Helena will be able to host that. Right now it's hosted in Butte, Billings, and Great Falls. Great Falls was the very first town to ever host that football game, and we're hoping to have Helena as one of the host cities in the future once we get that coordinated. So it'll be nice to have it right here in Helena. But anyway, we recognize those players, their families were there, and cheerleaders, also the cheerleaders in the area. So it was really a nice event.
I think the East has been rather dominant, have they not, John?
We're rooting for the West. But, it's hard to say, as to which team. These are great players. A lot of them will go on to play football at college, either our frontier colleges or MSU or U of M or even out of state. And not all of them will go on to play football. Some will go on to other academic achievements. One man last night, I remember him specifically, he's going to go to Providence, that's in Great Falls, to be a wrestler. So you never know where these young people are going to go.
It's going to be on TV, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So you get a chance to watch these young children, young men, achieve greatness. And they are great athletes. So if you get a chance, they come out to Great Falls. Watch the game, watch it on TV, and cheer on these young people. These are our Montana superior athletes, and then as they compete to do this, but the main goal is to raise money for our hospital.
All right. Thank you, John. Commissioner. Anywhere you want. There you go.
That's right. Danny and I talked about this last night. It's a microphone on an ice cream cone. Real quick, there's a lot of good causes in Helena, as you're hearing. We encourage you to support them. Thank you very much for doing so. Number two, Jim, you did a great job at the candidate forum last night. For the school board trustees, excellent discussion last night. See some folks here. But also too, John, myself, and Peter Strauss, and the rest of the Farmers Market Board want to welcome you to the Helena Farmers Market opening days this Saturday at 9 a.m. on Fuller Avenue. Please come on down. We'll see you at the market.
Hey, thanks, Commissioner. Yeah, the League of Women Voters and their candidate forum last night. It was just well organized, well presented. It was just excellent. Connie, thank you. Who else am I looking for? Sherry Jones, the new president, and the chairwoman of the school district trustees, Siobhan Hawthorne, was there on the hot seat.
Thank you again for hosting. That was a great event. You should have your ballots, school ballots on your mailboxes. I got mine maybe 2 days ago, so I just want to talk a little bit about that. Oh, not far enough up. There we go. There's two things for you to vote on. One is a technology levy. It's a very moderate ask. Our last levy, just to put it in perspective, came before the advent of the cell phone. So you can imagine that there's been a lot more costs in our school system since then. It will just fill in the basic needs for infrastructure and for students to have computers in their hands that they need for mandated assessments and many things that we do. The second one is an operational levy, and when the state gives us a 3% increase, they ask that the community also have some skin in the game and pay that small amount to complement that. So that is just a very traditional, smaller elementary levy that we are running. And then thirdly, there's 3 seats that are open. And I'm one of the incumbents that's running and would love your vote so that we can continue the work that we're doing right now. We're at the apex of some really important things, and I'd like to have another term to get some of that work done. So anyway, thank you so very much.
Yeah, I mean, the school district has significant challenges, shall we say. But I caught an overall sense of optimism from the candidates there last night and the questions and the responses from everybody. Jenny, who you met, was there. Did you feel that optimism as well, Jenny?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Hi, I'm Jenny Marie. I'm also a candidate for school board. And I would say yes, Jim. I think that overall we have a lot of great qualified folks with a good vision for Helena Public Schools, and we all recognize the tremendous challenges that we're facing. But overall, I think that we want to make it better. That's ultimately why we're running. So.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Yeah, Siobhan's comment about skin in the game kind of reminds me, one time up at the legislature, the committee was discussing the Treasure State Endowment Program, grants, the TSEP grants. And one of the senators got thinking, well, maybe there ought to be a local match required for these grants. You know, communities apply for these things for their water and sewer projects. And he said, yeah, you know, maybe we ought to impose a 25% match on the local communities, so they'd have a little skin in the game. And Alec Hansen, who some of you remember, he got up and he said, skin in the game. He said, the local communities, we got skin in the game. He said, we've got vital organs in the game. It was a great comment. And that's true. I mean, the people of Helena have got vital organs in the education. And we're doing our part. One thing that came across, some of the candidates, let's see, it's like they've kind of given up on the state legislature adequately funding the school districts around the state. That was kind of difficult to hear those opinions, I thought. But the candidates have been up there testifying, advocating, and trying to get the legislature to get their vital organs in the game as well. So anyway, I don't know for that. Yeah, Rick. Get him the mic there, Rick. So dressed up.
Since we're on a school theme this morning, last night I had the privilege, I guess it was a privilege, of touring Capitol High School, one of the focuses of the next election after we get past this election on May 6th. And that's a separate story. See you later for details. But there's an opportunity coming up for all of you next Wednesday, I believe. Isn't it Wednesday? Next Wednesday, you can tour Kessler, an elementary school out on the highway. It's also kind of in the crosshairs for the September election. I guarantee you'll be surprised. I know none of you have been in a school in the last 5 years, other than maybe to watch a Christmas program or pick up your grandkids. So get out, get involved. You have opportunities, and then all I hear is, oh, there's no information. Well, you gotta get off the couch, get in the game. The information's there. The opportunity's presented. It was a week showing, because I know everybody was at the candidates forum last night, so they couldn't make the tour, I hope. But next week, another opportunity. It's a great way to see these schools and see what they're talking about. That's what it's all about.
Kessler was identified as the school in the most need of physical upgrades. So it'd be worth it to go check it out, take a tour, and learn more about that place. You know, Commissioner Dean's there. How's things going, Emily? How's the campaign? How are they treating you out there?
Good morning, everyone. Emily Dean. Wonderful so far. I've been just really overwhelmed by the amount of support and donations that folks have been willing to give. One thing I did want to note is I think one of the things we get a lot of questions about is the city budget. And if you are not aware, in the same vein as Rick has noted, we have started our budget process. Next Wednesday will be our third budget session. Each of the departments is slowly making their way through their presentations. We have them every other Wednesday, and next week is one of those. At the end of May, we will have what's called the preliminary budget. That is kind of the final budget presentation from the city manager come to the commission, and the commission will have the opportunity to make amendments and provide additional feedback. And then we will adopt the final budget about a month or so after that. But if you are interested in the City of Helena budget, now is the time to get involved because we have to have that adopted, the preliminary budget adopted in early June. And we are like every other local government. There's not a lot of extra for much of anything this year. However, there are a handful of really positive grants that the legislature has been, by very tiny margins, approving.
All right.
But we believe the governor will sign most of those. And I really encourage you to get involved in those budget meetings moving forward.
All right, very good. Ben, is the HCC bird dog in the budget process like they do? Ben Kuiper is the chairman of the Helena Citizens Council, and one of their main charges is watching the budget.
Yeah, so we formed a budget committee, and we go to all these meetings that Commissioner Dean has mentioned, and by June 11th, I want to say, we'll be presenting the HCC's budget recommendations to the commission, and that will be based off of these administrative meetings that they're having on Wednesday. If any of you as a citizen have any input, we'd love to hear at the HCC level. You can also go straight to the commission and give public comment if you'd like. So there's plenty of ways to get involved, and these are your tax dollars at work. So
Very good. Yeah, those are quite the work sessions, as I recall. Well, John Driscoll, how you doing?
Good. See ya. Yeah. If you, any one of these Thursdays where we have our hometown Helena meeting in the afternoon, if you have free time, I know you're all busy, you might consider going out to Fort Harrison through the main gate, present your present your driver's license and go into that controlled area where the Montana Military Museum is. I've been going out there for 5 or 6 months in the morning, first 3 hours, and I got a quill pen, and I make illuminated manuscripts in the back there on a stool, and I feel quite comfortable. But it's quite a resource, and I want to recommend it to you. This Sunday and Monday, I'll be having the 52nd episode of my podcast, which is called The Electric Bison, and I'll have Ray Reed, who's really quite a remarkable guy. He's a retired colonel who's responsible, basically, for pulling that all together. And I can't recommend it more highly. It'll show on Helena Civic Television as well for, I guess, this week. But the other thing is, a week from Friday, on May 2nd, will be the wine fair for the military museum. And it's really kind of a fun deal at the Civic Center. You go in there, you pay money at the door, you get tickets ahead of time, but it provides 30% of the budget for the military museum, and it's really quite a good resource for our whole state. We've got quite a military heritage, so I just would like you to keep that in mind. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you, John. Great reminder, great reminder. Yeah, that military museum is a fine establishment. Well, I suppose there's any number of things that we could talk about. Yeah. Hey.
All right, so real quick, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus for the past few months, but 406 Recycling's e-waste collection event is back. So if you've got old TVs, microwaves, phones, cords, any number of things, I've got just about everything under the sun on our website, 406recycling.com. We're going to be hosting a collection event tomorrow at Good Samaritan Thrift Store from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And most things we take for free, but everything else is just like maybe $1 or $2. So this is a great way to just clear out a bunch of stuff from your house. And if your business or organization has things to get rid of, we also do pickups. So yeah, just make sure to buy. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, it's kind of party down at Good Sam's when they do that. Very cool. Well,
Can you
yes.
one more?
Yeah. Annie gets you the mic there, or either way.
Hi, I'm Bob Cohen. I'm actually going to speak next week for
The climbing.
That's right. I run. Feel weird. I'm standing.
Yeah.
I run Stone Tree Climbing Center just across the way there. I get to speak about that next week for our small business channel. But today I'm here representing the Prickly Pear Land Trust. They have the Don't Fence Me In race coming up in May. This year they're doing all the normal stuff, but they added a 50K, like a longer distance race, and they're looking for volunteers. So I was assigned the task of letting you all know that we're looking for volunteers this year. That can mean any sort of things, half an hour here or an hour there, or a half day aid station, because that 50K race, as you can imagine, takes a long time. So if you or anybody you know is willing to participate in that day, it would be great to have you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that would be neat. That's quite an event also. And come next week, and we got a small business panel that Bob's going to be a good part of. So let's keep rolling. Sarah Graham is with us with Growing Up Helena. I was trying to get a little intel on the organization, and Emily McVeigh's out. She's on the disabled list. She had some shoulder surgery, so I couldn't get much intel. But Sarah's going to fill us in. So please welcome her.
Hi, good morning. I don't mean to shock you, but I got married this last year, so my name is actually Sarah Hansen, but I respond to both Sarah Hansen and Sarah Graham. I'm the same person. So I'm here to talk about Growing Up Helena. It's a community coalition for youth in our community. So this is a Communities That Cares coalition. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But essentially, we're here to help youth by preventing depression, promoting community attachment and promoting commitment to school. So, I mean, we've been talking about how exciting the conversation is around our school district currently with Board of Trustee elections and the topic of Kessler School. So this is another way that if you want to get involved but don't want to add any pressure or don't know where to start, this is a great community coalition to help your schools from outside of the school district. Awesome, so this is my one slide on Communities That Cares. I came last year and I talked pretty in depth about it. I talked about how much it can impact in early initiation of tobacco use, alcohol use, violent behavior. I talked about the return on investment, so if you're curious about that, I can talk about it after, but today we're just talking about the progress that we've been able to accomplish in the last year. So Communities That Cares is a program out of the University of Washington School of Social Work that teaches a community how to do coalition work effectively. It's a pretty rigorous program in the sense that it has milestones and benchmarks that have to be completed to do the program to fidelity. But we also measure it by phases. So phase 1 is when we arranged our key leader board. So we have 2 key leaders in the room. We have Commissioner Dean in the back and then Anthony Frazier up here. They're both key leaders that are enthusiastic about the program and the progress that we have made in Helena. Phase 2 is getting our community action team together. So those are our boots on the ground. Coalition members. They meet quarterly as a whole board, but then they also meet monthly to do work group projects. And this last year, we have spent the most time in phase 3. So there was 2 parts to phase 3. We can continue this on the next slide. But that first part is we did a community assessment. So we looked at all the data in the community that gave us a sense of what it's like to be a youth in our community. And we primarily focused on our 8th graders, 10th graders, and 12th graders in the Helena Public School System and East Helena Public Schools because the PNA most aligned with the goals and outcomes of Communities That Care. So these are surveys that have been conducted in our schools. We didn't have to implement a new survey. This isn't an added pressure on the school district, but something that we can work in conjunction with, which is awesome. And then we looked at what are the, yes, we conducted that evaluation using those surveys called the community assessment. And we looked at what areas of risk and protective factors. Are we seeing high protective factors in one domain? Are we seeing high protective factors with school-related peer topics? Or are we seeing more on the individual level? And we also looked at our protective factors, which I think we're going to be able to celebrate our protective factors and talk about our risk factors on the next slide. Yeah, so a huge celebration is that our family domain is strong. We see that youth really respect and the advice that they get from their parents. I mean, you might disagree from personal experience, but generally the youth reporting in this survey that's completely anonymous are saying that they respect the advice that they get from their parents, and in the home, they have a lot of rewards for pro-social opportunities. So where our parents are rewarding the youth in our community for being productive, for being pro-social, for being connected, which is a great. And then we also saw that youth have like a high level of moral responsibility and they hold each other accountable for that. So that's protective factors in our family domain and the peer and individual domain, which was a great success. On the other hand, we do have risk factors. So the risk factors that we want to focus on is we're seeing high levels of moderate depressive symptoms. I don't think that that's a shock to anyone. It's a conversation for our youth across the state, even our adults, that we're seeing a lot of depression. And then we also see low commitment to school and low community attachment. So when I started the presentation, it sounded a little different. I said we wanted to decrease depression, we wanted to increase commitment to school, and we wanted to increase community attachment. So that's just working on the positive. We want to be enthusiastic about what we're doing, and we want to feel inspired when we're talking to other people. So we're increasing that community attachment, we're increasing commitment to school, and we're decreasing prevention, or depression. We're preventing depression in our youth population. So the next step of that is on the next slide. So this was our most recent, we did this recently too. I forgot about this slide. So after we re-identified our priorities. We wanted to narrow our vision and mission so that it more accurately represented the work that we were doing. So our mission is growing up Helena as a diverse and compassionate community that promotes positive environments for youth by advocating for healthy families, neighborhoods, schools, and youth. So the next step in phase 3 was doing a community resource assessment. So we went and we surveyed all of the resources in our community, and we asked, for youth, are you working on programs that tackle depression, commitment to school, and community attachment? We then focused it down to test and effective programs. So this was a very narrow description. There are very many organizations across the U.S. and nationally that will test and identify test and effective programs. The databases that we focused on was blueprints for for healthy youth development out of UC Boulder. And then we also have a very own, in our own state, Montana evidence-based programs. So it's a work group that goes through and identifies test and effective programs. So on the screen, we have all of the programs in our community that meet one of those categories. Our biggest celebration is in Helena, we don't have any complete program gaps. So for every risk factor up there, there is a program that's currently implemented working on it, which means a good pat on the back for Helena, but it also means for us, we're not going to be implementing a new test and effective program. We're not going to be campaigning for funds to initiate a new program or trying to get buy-in from schools or Head Start or any of that, but we're going to be working in conjunction with those ongoing programs to promote it. So some of the bigger celebrations is that across the top you can see those 3 programs that meet all 3 categories. So we have Good Behavior Game, we have PACS tools, and we have Circle of Security currently being implemented. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and identify, oh, maybe Circle of Security is being offered quarterly, but we're not getting enough parents or guardians showing up. So what we're going to do as a coalition is we're really going to promote it, we're going to educate the community, and we're going to talk about it more often to make more promotion and education around the program itself. We also may talk about how can we support parents that are going to the program or aren't able to go to the program because of childcare. Typically, families that are using Circle of Security have children in the early childhood category, so we want to think about how can we support them maybe by providing childcare at those programs. So that's a little bit more of this sticky, nitty-gritty, rigorous side of the program, but we also get to meld this program with community passions. So one of our community passions that we've gotten to work on is the Cradle to Career initiative. And that is the next slide, unless I forgot another one. Oh, I forgot a slide again. It's early for me, I'm so sorry. So these are some of our recommendations, like that first one that I talked about, Circle of Security. We're going to support an ongoing program. Some other ones were PACS tools. So Helena Public Schools uses the Good Behavior Game, and PACS tools goes in conjunction with it. It uses most of the same elements minus the classroom behavior management element, and this can go out to para-educators, it can go out to daycare managers, it can go out to parents, to grandparents, to kids that babysit. And so this is another program that's is a less of a time commitment than Circle of Security, but has great tools that families can take home with them. So that's just a list of our recommendations. They are still being voted on, so I won't go through all of them. I just wanted to talk about the ones that was most applicable to the individuals in this room. And then, so we get to mind the science with the spirit in Communities That Cares coalitions. So Growing Up Helena is one of the big supporters of Cradle to Career, which is a youth event for everyone in all the 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders in the Helena Public School District. So I'm talking specifically today about our 6th grade career exploration because this is the widest net we cast. So this last year, it reached 556 graders. The year before, I think it was 586 graders. And for this event, they all get to leave campus for a full day. And they get to go up to 6 different locations. And at each location, they get to learn about up to 3 different jobs. So for some of those examples, they went to Montana Wild and learned about Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, Forest Service. They went to Carroll College and learned about some of the careers there, as well as Helena Police Department. They went to Helena College and they saw Montana Radio, Opportunity Bank, Lewis and Clark Library, the cosmetology department, and I think I said all the notes for the application. And then they went to Dick Anderson, they got to see Dick Anderson jobs, they got to see Northwestern Energy, they went to St. Peter's Health, they got to see some health-related jobs. The AHEC came in and had some awesome VR sets, and they went to Holter Museum of Art, so they got to see a plethora of different art-related careers, whether it was teaching art, whether it was dance, whether it was architecture. They got to see a bunch, and I just think that this is the greatest way that we can show the youth in our community that the community cares about them, because they're hosting them in their workplaces. They're taking 2 full days to speak to 6th graders in the community, and they're showing them that even if you don't want to go to college, there's a career out there where you can be successful. And I personally believe that when you pour into youth, the youth as they grow up will continue to pour into the next generation. And I think that that cycle is something so beautiful when we can commit to it as adults. Are there any questions? I sped through it because I wanted to leave as much time as we could for the youth in the room. Yeah, so there are 2 boards, so you can be a part of it. We have our Key Leader Board and our Community Action Team. The Community Action Team meets monthly, while the Key Leader Board meets quarterly. And so there's ways to get involved if any of this was interesting or exciting to you.
Very good.
Thank you, Sarah, and congratulations. Yeah, very nice. Well, you know, we try to pack a lot into this hour, and we do. But speaking of youth, let's turn right to the Elkhorn Archers and Seth Dombeck, who's here almost every week. And he brought some of his fellow archers this week. So Seth, I'll just turn it right over to you.
Thanks, Jim.
You betcha. Welcome.
Well, again, my name is Seth Dombeck, and pastor here in town. And so I bet I've been coming to hometown Helena for probably around 14 years or so. And so it's just been a delight to be a part of this community. And brought a couple of my kiddos, Kala, who now we can really embarrass her since she had to head over to school this morning, is probably one of the top archers in the country. And our kids have been shooting together for probably close to 10 years, and we started with 4-H archery and realized that we wanted to just start shooting more. And so Chris Kenny is here as one of our main coaches, and we started a JOAD club, which then kind of morphed into a S3DA is what we do now, which stands for Scholastic 3D Archery. And I'm just going to kind of breeze through because I really want the kids to share and talk about their bows and different arrows, and we brought different target faces. So the slides are just going through of different pictures of our archers. We've almost doubled in size this last year, and a little over 30 archers from ages 6 to Isaiah's our oldest / coach. And they just started a group realizing that these 18-year-olds, after they graduate, there's like this mini gap if maybe their school doesn't support archery, and so S3DA just started a group, I think it's called Elite. And so archers can shoot even post 18 with the S3DA club. Which is great as well. But one of the cool things you'll see as the slides go, for any of the young adult archers, if you're in the top 3 at either the state level and or the national level events, you get a packet of scholarships from schools throughout the nations that will offer scholarships for archery for these kids, which is great. So real quick, just to kind of talk about what we do, and we've won a bid to host the national tournament again here in Helena. This will be our 2nd time doing it. It's the 3rd time Montana has hosted it. The 1st time was in Butte. We've done such a good job. I think we'll probably have it here in Helena for a long time, which is great. But so it's a 9-month session that our kids do. So we go from indoor to outdoor season. So we just started our outdoor season. So each state has a state tournament, and that's what gives you eligibility to shoot the national tournament. And so our state tournament this year was up in Great Falls, and then the national indoor was in Salt Lake City. And then there's 2 other ones for outdoor. There's outdoor target, and then there's outdoor 3D. And we actually will host both this year. We'll host the state tournament, and then we'll host the national tournament, and both of those will be in July, the beginning of July, and then the end of July is the national tournament. Just to mention on the national tournament, we'll host that at the soccer fields out at the airport. We're probably expecting around 200 kids from west of Mississippi here is where they'll come to shoot that tournament. And then so that'll be 2 days out there. And then there'll be another 2 days of 3D, and Great Divide is allowing us again to set up 2 20 animal loops of 3D courses that the kids will shoot up there as well. That's what some of these pictures are. So I thought we'd have some of the kids talk a little bit about what they shoot, and they have some of the different arrows that they use for indoor and outdoor, and talk a little bit about the differences of the bow class and stuff that we have as well. You want to go first?
My name is Zach, and I think I've been shooting for 2 or 3 years, and I'm 9 years old. I think my favorite tournament is probably outside 3D. And I use a compound bow. And there's different kinds of what we use to shoot. Some people use which have different distances. And stabilizers also help to help your bow stand up. Mine is really short, while Isaiah's is really long.
Some arrows there, is that?
And this is a outdoor arrow. It's more thin than the indoor arrow. And a 3D animal mostly looks like this. There's different things. So all of its body is 5 except for different parts of it. 8 rings. This is still 8. 10. And this is the X-ring. And these 2 are 12s. And there's also a 14 ring. Shoot-offs. And this is another one of the targets, a 5-spot target. it only has 3 points, 0, 4, and 5. Not really counting the X, but we have a 1-spot target with this is an outdoor, and we have X 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 points. And
my name's Isaiah. I'm about to be 20 in a few days. I've been shooting archery since, I don't even know how long, probably 6 or something. I've been shooting competitively through different organizations since I was his age, 9 or 10. And I love archery. It's such a unique sport, even among the shooting sports, because you have everything from, your big fancy bows with all the components, all the way down to, where archery came from, your basic recurve bow, your traditional bow. And it's not only, an individual sport in the fact that, you're the one shooting, you're the one getting scores, you're the one that has to motivate yourself to practice and become a better shooter, but it's also a team sport because you're shooting with your fellow archers, and when we go to these state national tournaments, we shoot as a team against other cities' teams, and so it's such a unique sport. And there's so much variances to what we do, from shooting indoor to shooting at these little targets to shooting outdoor at these targets where we shoot up to 50 meters, and then even shooting the 3D at all kinds of different distances and angles. And nowadays there's tons of technology that's going into these bows to make them super efficient, and you can see the wide range of things that we shoot. And it's great because that allows a wide range of people to be able to shoot it too, no matter if you're willing to get into it, travel and get all the fancy equipment, or if you just want to come hang out and shoot even traditional recurve bows and stuff. Like, it's a super all-inclusive sport, and really enjoyable. There's nothing quite like releasing a good shot and hitting the center of the target. I can tell you that for sure. And it's been a joy as I've grown and now starting to help coach to watch. We have a ton of younger kids, Zach's age, to see them start to grow, and there's not a lot of programs for them at that age for shooting sports, and to see their growth in shooting, and it's been really cool to watch and even help coach some as even a younger generation starts to shoot more. So. Sure, there's a ton that goes into bows. One of the biggest things to make bows efficient is a release. So instead of just shooting with your fingers, there's lots of different styles of releases. So this is a finger release where you use your thumb as the trigger. Zach has another style where you pull back and you don't hit any buttons or anything, you just pull through the shot. Eventually it releases. It's also like your finger style release, which is pretty common. You see that a lot with hunters, where it straps around your wrist. Too many things. And you use your finger to release the trigger. And of course, especially for our recurve shooters, you can shoot with just your fingers. As for the bow itself, they become pretty big and heavy, and we do have these, like Zach said, long stabilizers and bars sticking out of them, and it just helps so that when you're holding the bow, it holds nice and steady and straight. with bows like ours. Oh, I guess I should explain. There's each archer shoots against archers in their own age division, but also their categories. So bows like mine and Kawa's have a lot more fancy tech, longer stabilizers. The sight in here actually has a lens, and so it's a scope, so it magnifies the target. You can see that, yeah. And then even like Zach was explaining with his bow, it doesn't have as long of stabilizers, but the sight is a fixed, so it's got the 5 pins in there, and they're fixed for different distances. And so he'll be, bow 100 pins. All the way down to limited compound bows that don't have any sights and can't use releases, to recurve bows, and we didn't bring Olympic recurve bows, but like when you see them shooting in the Olympics, they also have stabilizers and sights. So there's lots of different variations in bows and the components that go into them.
Call this a compound bow?
Yeah, it's a compound bow where it's got 2 cams on it, and so when you draw back, it sits back there, and you're only holding 8 to 12 pounds, depending on how much poundage you're pulling. Obviously, versus your recurve bow that just has 2 limbs, and you pull it back, and you're pulling the full weight. But nowadays, compound bows are super popular.
If I may, it would be great to see you pull, draw, I'm not sure of the right verb, see you in that position so I know what it looks like.
So one of the things you don't want to do is pull back without an arrow, because it can, and Jim wanted us to do a demonstration. I don't think we will today, if that's okay. One of the cool things I will say with compound archery is this next coming up Olympics is going to be the first year that they allow compound archery to be in the Olympics. Before, it's just been recurve, and this first year it'll actually be recurve and compound as a team, and then the following Olympics will be compound as its own individual sport. So hopefully, maybe we'll be seeing Isaiah and Kala at the next Olympics. So it was kind of funny. There's a bunch of different tournaments that you can do, and maybe we'll open it up for some questions here. But one of the ones we do to have a state distinction, you have to shoot indoor, outdoor, and then field for state. And so I asked Isaiah this morning, I was like, well, did you want to bring any of your medals or whatever? And then he just flashed his ginormous belt buckle, which you get if you win this Montana State tournament, which a lot of our kids have done, so it's pretty funny. I don't know if you wanted to say anything else, Chris, and then maybe we can open it up for some questions. Cool, yeah, let's do it.
Well, this is a lot different than in the day where you had to have one of them recurve bows and make a harder lung shot in a buffalo that's on a full charge, and you on the back of a galloping horse, and you're trying to hang on with your legs rather than your hands because you're using them. But it was a necessity at one time. But I hope you never bring that back as a competitive sport for the sake of the buffalo.
This is great. I recently bought a new rifle. What would I have to pay for, let's say, that bow?
Well, there's actually entry-level bows all the way up to bows that, just the bow itself without any components can be, $1,300. And then, as you get into the components, you're looking at over $2,000 probably one of these setups.
Okay. That's not including the arrows.
Okay, this question is for Isaiah and Zach. So, using the principles of archery and the process that you've gone through, how have you applied that in your life or towards school?
That's a great question. I think for me, through high school, I had opportunities to do different, other team and traveling sports, but I kind of chose archery as my main competitive sport, and it forced me, if I wanted to be good at archery, I had to go out and practice. And so we have a Baylor yard, and it made me realize that if I wanted to compete and actually, especially at these national tournaments, like competitively compete and place, like I had to put the work in. And so especially, I'd say my junior and senior year, I was out in the yard like every single day shooting and practicing, and it really showed me what it takes for motivation. Like if you want to be good at something, you really got to work at it and practice. And it was a good lesson of that self-motivation, because I could have showed up to practice once a week and shot once a week, and that was it. But I didn't. I kept shooting. I know Cal is the same. The only reason Cal is such a good archer is because she shoots all the time and practices all the time.
I'll add to that as well, is that a lot of people think you can just pick up a bow, shoot it, and be proficient, but I would say 90%, even over 90% is all mental. And the focus that it takes to quiet your body down and be able to execute a great shot, and even applying that focus in school, it just kind of trains them how to use their mind just a little bit more, block out all the noise that's happening around them to make these shots. I mean, they kind of get into a mode that they can't even hear when they're shooting. I mean, they just get so focused, and it's neat to see that being applied, just not to archery, but just into their life in general.
This is so fantastic. Thank you guys for showing all of this. Excuse me. So for those of us who have friends or family who would be interested in becoming a part of this, how can we get involved? Or even, if we're not going to become competitive shooters anytime soon, like myself, how could we get involved to help out as well? Because it sounds like you have a lot going on. There's some big movement holding national tournaments, and how can we help these kids be ready to compete in the Olympics in a couple of years, like you said?
Yeah, so Montana S3DA does have a website. You can kind of go onto there and read about the mission that the S3DA has. There are 3 teams in Montana: Helena, Great Falls, and Missoula. There are some on the horizon, maybe in Bozeman, that will put on trainings for coaches. You have to be certified as a coach. We're all volunteers. I think we've got 5 coaches for the Helena Archers. But yeah, well, we got Facebook pages, Elkhorn Archers. We've got these flyers that can help out, that we can pass out, that have all our contact info. But yeah, I mean, like these tournaments do take on quite a task. We'll probably see maybe 250 kids, which will be probably the most that the West has seen. Now, Eastern United States, that's a whole different ballgame. The West is now just getting not even caught up yet. But the East, they're looking at like 1,300 to 1,500 shooters, and we're seeing right now maybe 250. But every year it's growing, and that's how they said they grew. Is every year it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So it's pretty neat to see. But yeah, no, phone numbers, web pages, email addresses. I mean, definitely we'll start kind of promoting it, and you'll start seeing flyers in the community that this is happening. So,
just one quick question for you, Seth. Or not question, I want to point out how men have been practicing this for a long time. Imagine sitting watching a football game and you think your husband's ignoring you. You just heard we're concentrating and we're focusing. No noise outside. And when you're hollering, we can't hear you because we're actually zoning out watching that football game. We've been practicing this for a long time. So thank you for finally explaining it. Amen, brother.
Anybody come up to Great Divide or out to the?
Yeah, and I was just gonna mention, so we practice every Tuesday. So when we do our indoor season, we're at Buffalo Jump, which is right kind of on your way to East Helena. There's like the storage shed there. And they have about 20 lanes for our indoor. So if there's anyone that wants to donate space where we can shoot about 20 yards, we have so many kids where we have to do a couple different line times for all the kids during the indoor season. And then outdoor, Ash Grove has been a wonderful partner, and they have, in a sense, kind of donated some land to us that we're able to host the state tournaments out there. It's right out on the Prickly Pear Creek. So if you just go past Kleffner Ranch, about a mile and a half or so, it's right there, and we're able to leave targets set up and our 3D animals and stuff. So, yeah, all the info is there, and if you know kids, we're pretty lax on just letting kids come and shoot and see if it's something that they want to do, even before they kind of maybe buy in and want to jump in with both feet, sort of thing. And then, yeah, as we host these tournaments, we would love for you to come and see and watch, and it's pretty incredible to partake in all of that. So,
Seth, it's 8 o'clock, but tell us just a bit about the young lady that had to leave. You said she was a very good shooter herself.
Yeah, Kala Kinney, she's my daughter. She's been shooting since she's been 5, and she's won national tournaments. She travels all over the United States shooting, and her dream was to eventually, hopefully, shoot for the Olympics. And so she'll be going to the Olympic trials in 2027 and shooting that 50-meter outdoor target game, which we do. That's one of the games that we'll shoot for the Nationals. So she'll shoot this target at 50 meters along with some other great pro archers. So yeah, no, she's been doing it for a long time.
Well, we wish her well. And sorry the time got so short, and she had.
Oh no, that's good. Yeah, no, she kind of knew that she'd probably have to jet out.
Well, she looked pretty sharp. Well, let's give these folks a hand. So good luck and good shooting, Isaiah and Zachariah. Very cool. Thank you, Kenny. Well, wow, 8 o'clock. Here we go. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next week. We got that small business panel. It'll be really cool. And good to see everybody. Thanks for coming out today.